welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurship Decoded. I'm so excited for you guys to meet Chris here. We got to meet on Instagram, and he has a great story, so I'm glad you guys hear about it. So, Chris, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Alex. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. So, we'll jump right in. I would love to hear your story of how you became an entrepreneur. So, what were your aha moments? What was that point in your life where you were like, I need to do this, that led you to who you are today?
Yeah, for sure. So I've had a couple, I guess, chapters in my life that's kind of led to where I am now. One, and the big one, um, was back in high school, about to go to college, and uh, had to have back surgery. I was playing soccer and had been for 2 years with a broken vertebrae, and I hadn't known it. So I had to start off that summer before college getting surgery to get those last two fused back together. Um, all the while, inside my head, I was dealing with self-worth issues. So the depression and the thoughts of suicide and things of that nature, just really a dark time in my mind and with what I was thinking. So went into college with that, physically healing, and not being myself, kind of lost, not fitting in any sort of area because I didn't have sports anymore. I wasn't in drama anymore. So I was really trying to figure myself out and what and who Chris Anderson was, all the while dealing with those thoughts of, well, you're not worth it. There's no really purpose for you here. And if you're gone, it wouldn't really be much different. Um, Thankfully, though, I met people at college that came up, became mentors for me, and really showed me my worth and my potential in life and helped me get a whole new mindset and vision of the future. And so went into college doing athletic training because I wanted to help people physically because I'd always been in sports and seen that world a lot. So I started doing that career after being able to kind of get through that really dark time. Now, there's always struggles with the depression and with the mindset that you always have to be aware of, and make sure you're controlling those thoughts. And I still have to do that today. It's nowhere near where it was, so I'm thankful for that. But going out into the corporate 9 to 5 world, whatever you want to call it, it was good at first. I really enjoyed helping. I started in the high school setting, so the student athletes, being able to take care of them physically and help them do what they love, playing sports, whichever sport that was. But I found that I really enjoyed even more just having conversations with them and helping them kind of see their worth and see their potential. Because, I mean, if you think about it, at such a young age, we have so much pressure in junior and senior year in high school to pick what we're going to be or what our future is going to look like. And that's a lot of pressure. And I think college is good for some. And I think there are others who can maybe take some time and really get more of a deep view of themselves. And so having those conversations with those student athletes were some of the best moments in the corporate world. And that's what I ended up realizing I really had a passion for was helping people see their worth and potential, and then planning and strategizing ways to build a life around that. Now, at that time, obviously, these student athletes weren't going to build a business. I mean, they could have. You've seen some young people do that. But it wasn't until many years later, getting close to 5 years later after I started that I was like, okay, this might be what I'm supposed to do is help people take their passions and start building a life online that they can then kind of get out the corporate setting and really make a difference based on how what they're created for. And so was an athletic trainer for about 7 years, and it got to the point where I'm like, I'm so not aligned with what I'm doing. It was just burning inside of me. Like I knew I had to detour and to start going after what I wanted to do. And so that's what I did. And it's been an amazing journey since. And the people I've met, the people I've been able to add value in their life and help them with coaching and through podcast launching and just by sharing on the podcast, like it's crazy when you're in alignment with what you're supposed to do, just how life is. Even when there's difficulties, it almost makes it easier because you know you're on the right path. So that's kind of my story. Sorry if I was a little long-winded. That got me to today doing what I'm doing.
No, that was a great description. I love how you described how you actually loved being in the corporate world for a while, because you were basically doing what you were good at, talking to athletes and seeing how you can help them or
Yeah.
help themselves get to that point where they needed to be, because it is a hard decision when you're 17, 18 years old, because society basically tells us we need to figure out everything at that time, and we're
Yep.
chill. So it's pretty crazy, but
Yeah.
that was really awesome. You explained that. So
Cool.
you talked a little bit more about your mental struggles and just having that to overcome,
Yeah.
not being able to play sports and just trying to find your place in the world. Were those your biggest struggles when you wanted to figure out your identity, or is there different struggles that you faced specifically when you started your entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah, I think when I started the entrepreneurship journey, I think there are different struggles now. So it was farther along. Now I still, like I said, still had to deal with some mindset like, well, you're not good enough, or there's people who are doing it already that are better than you. The imposter syndrome, all that. What if I fail? What if people think negatively of me? And those are things I had to really hit off at the past, really get in front of at the beginning, because I knew those were just limiting beliefs. Those were lies that I was being told in my mind to just stop me from doing what I'm supposed to do. Because that's what happens a lot of times. Those, for whatever reason, come into our minds to really hinder, I think, our ultimate mission and what we can really do. And a lot of time people give into those fears and then kind of back off what they're supposed to do for a quote unquote easier life. And so, yeah, I had to battle through that. And there's still moments that's like, as you're scaling and growing, you're like, there's people that doing or higher, still doing better than you. Like, and there always will be. So those are just things where you have to stop right away and replace those with, well, this is why people want to work with me, or this is what I'm doing that's benefiting others. And I'm growing every day. Things like that. I would say those thoughts starting the journey, building my business would be the big ones. And then making sure that putting that ego to the side. As much as I didn't think that was going to be an issue, it definitely, I mean, sometimes it's hard to take advice from someone else when we think we know the best path because we've done the research or we've learned a lot, and just kind of humbling ourselves and like, oh, wow, no, that's a great point what you're saying. And I'm going to try it that way because I can. And I had to do that. I had to literally tell myself out like, dude, humble yourself, try it someone else's way, because they're a step ahead of you. And so they're going to know things and been through things that you haven't yet. So those were probably the two big ones, the mindset still, and then the ego and the pride.
That's awesome. Yeah, those
Yeah.
are definitely the two, probably the biggest things, especially with the ego, because
Yeah.
it's hard to let go of things when you think you know everything, or you think you know like this one thing, or that kind of.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely agree with
Absolutely.
you. So
Yeah. But that's a big part of it, because if we can't let go of those things, like when we do get to the point where we're able to scale and be able to delegate things, uh, if we can let go of that ego, that's going to be so much easier. And then our business is going to do so much better when you're able to delegate your weaker tasks to someone who's strong in that area. But if we're prideful and we were like, no, I can do all of this and wear all the hats, like in the long run, that's going to hurt us in business. And so, yeah, being able to kind of set that aside is going to really, especially at the beginning, going to put you in a good spot to delegate later on without many issues.
yeah, I love how you explain delegation too, because that's so
Yeah.
important, especially when you're transitioning from an entrepreneur to CEO, because you have to let go of those things that either aren't your strengths or you want to
Yeah.
be the boss of it. So I
Yeah.
think that's a great example of that. So um, you talked about your challenges of entrepreneurship, and definitely that the whole journey is a roller coaster every single day. So
Yeah.
I actually get this question asked a lot about me too, because I kind of have that same mindset when it goes with just turning those negative comments to positive affirmations. Uh,
Mm.
so how are you able to do that, or what did you have to practice or tell yourself every single day to change that, because it's hard to change a negative comment to a more positive one. But what
For
was your
sure.
that?
Yeah, and sometimes I don't necessarily change it to a positive affirmation, but I turn it as to, and we've all heard Gary Vee say it, and it's in the Four Agreements, and don't take it personally. Like, because if someone's giving you negativity or trying to tear you down, and it's so true, if they're doing that, then they've got something in their heart and their mind that's really eating at them. They might even not even know it. They're bringing that ugliness out towards you. One, they might not even know that they're doing it. Unfortunately, they might have good intentions, but not know it's coming off in a negative way. Or two, they just might really be dealing with a lot of stuff in a negative way, and that's how they project it. And so, yeah, that's what I learned big time was don't take it personally, and then almost have empathy and compassion for those people more, because they're dealing with something internally.
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Four Agreements, by the way, is an
Yeah.
awesome. I remember I read that when I was like 13 and had
That's
it,
awesome.
but
Oh,
like, no, it literally did. I was like, oh, this is really cool. But I didn't. You read something and it's like it's awesome, but then it's like
yeah.
the terms don't really resonate with you as much as like when you get older and you're like, this is
Yeah.
what it meant. So yeah, I read
But
it.
you had it. At least you had an idea of it kind of floating around. So that's cool that you.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree. But yeah, that's awesome. And Gary Vee, definitely my guy.
Mm-hmm.
Love his podcast. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, loved hearing that. So what exactly do you do now to bring value to people using the skills
Yeah,
that you learned from the corporate world that you were talking about?
for sure. A big one that I learned, obviously being in the corporate world, and with management, working with management, in like the school settings and things like that, seeing kind of like quote unquote politics of everything, was communication. And that was a big one just with coaches, because you're dealing with all sorts of coaches, and nurses and teachers even sometimes. So you have to correlate and communicate with everybody what's going on with this athlete, with their rehab protocol, or X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. So you have to really get good at communication and time management. Those were two big things that I really learned, because you're there in the mornings, getting ready for practice, getting ready for physicals, and then you're there for practice. So you have to prep, pre-practice, be at practice, then tear down and take care of rehabbing during and after practice, and all that comes with that. And then communicate with the coaches, parents, and teachers as needed. So yeah, communication and time management were two huge things that I took from the corporate world for sure.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what is I think you talked a little bit more about it, but you're just helping people kind of realize their leadership, but what exactly is your business that you do now?
Yeah, so my business is called Pencil Leadership, the same title as my podcast, but I help people. I have a couple of things. One is I help them launch their own podcast, because I think everyone has a story or some sort of expertise that they can share and help others with, and I think podcasting is a great medium to do so. The others is just coaching people through the three pillars: their health, purpose, and wealth. So obviously our health is wealth, I think. And if we're not healthy, then we're not able to do a whole lot. So that covers nutrition, fitness, mindset, because of my background in health and human performance and my master's degree. So I know I can throw that in there, which is awesome, and provide another facet. And then the purpose is just helping people see their worth and potential, and then kind of pinpointing their passions and allowing them to kind of almost walk themselves through it. I just kind of guide them in seeing that path, that strategy to build that business. And then the wealth aspect obviously is, okay, so what do we need to implement? What steps do we need to take now to make this profitable, to make it something you could step away from your 9 to 5. You could fire your boss and have that time and financial freedom that you want, and then be able to. So that's kind of my main coaching that I do. I love it. I love incorporating all three of those.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely starting a podcast. I think people are that's what I felt when I wanted to do a podcast. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know how to do it. I can't just like spout different things. But I think I remember I can't remember who said it, but someone talked about how each person has their own perspective in the way that they say something. So if like
Yep.
5 people say the exact same thing, they're going to say it differently, that one of those people will resonate more with you or whoever
Yeah.
more than those other 4 people. So it's like someone could say the same thing over and over again, but if someone else says it in a different way in their perspective, it can change your life. It gives you the that just breakthrough knowledge that is
Yeah.
for anything really in life. So
No, I agree. That's a great point for sure. Yeah. I think we resonate with different people on different frequencies and different markets. And I think that one thing about it, like, even if someone's doing what you want to do, there's an abundance. There's so many people out there that you might resonate with that those other people don't. And so that's why I think there's room for anybody to really build whatever business they're thinking of. And that's the thing, you could really build it off anything. I mean, I've seen people build an online business off of like breastfeeding and parenting, like baby type stuff, to sticker shops. I actually had a client I helped launch their sticker and decor and um, calligraphy business and photography. Like, there's everything. If you can teach something, there's a market for it. You just have to see it and find the plan for it.
awesome. So cool. Okay,
Yeah,
a couple more questions.
for sure.
Yeah. So when it comes to you bring a lot of value to people. It seems like with just bringing leadership and mindset and helping people start their podcasts. So why is bringing value to people so important when it, like this day and age, you talked about empathy and that kind of thing, but why is bringing value to people and stepping outside of yourself so important, especially today?
Yeah, I just think because today there's so much intrinsic focus, internal focus on ourselves, um, that we're having a lot of issues, obviously, throughout the world. And we've seen it. We've seen it on the news, and we'll continue to until we can start seeing everyone else instead of us and kind of taking a step back. Because at the end of the day, it's not really about us. It's about what we can do in the world to make it better and how we can help other people and add value. Um, whether, like, when I have a conversation with someone, I'm asking a bunch of questions because I've had conversation with people that are really depressed, and there's no way that I'm going to go down the road of trying to counsel them, because that's not what I am. And I'm not just going to go try to make a sell because they're in that position. Like, I just want to, I'm at that point, I just want to help them. I want to send them to the right people that to get really that overhaul. And I think that's what it's about. It's just looking out for one another, adding value. And I think then the clients just come. The people who are really seeking it and are ready for it, they'll come. And so I think, yeah, just the more value we can add, I think the world we'd see a big change in things, because we wouldn't be looking at anything else but each other.
That's an awesome answer. I really love that. That's awesome. So
Thanks.
last question, just take the floor. Anything you want to say to the viewers that I have, just about anything you want to talk about.
Oh, wow. Okay. Give me the floor. How much time we got now? Just kidding. I'll try to keep it quick. Yeah. The biggest thing that I just did it is if you guys are on the fence, to start something, whatever it is, podcast, a business, a hobby, a fitness routine, but you're scared or you're fearful to do that, just step through that, because there's so much growth and potential and positivity that will come from stepping through that fear and really starting to live a life aligned with your purpose. And that, whatever that looks like, that's just between you and you. It's not anyone else's opinion or thought. It's just whatever you think is the right path. And that's all it should be. And that's really all we can ask of each other, is to do the best we can and do what we think is right. Because on your path, if you're following what you're created to do, you're going to be able to help a lot more people. And if you don't, that's the scary thing, because there's so many people out there counting on us on our journey that we're created to do, because that's going to help those people. And we don't know them. They don't know us, but there's people out there counting on us to build that life for whatever reason. There's people out there that want to hear what I have to say which is crazy to think about. And there's people, they're just going to take one thing from you, starting that journey that's going to change their life for the positive. So if you're scared today to start whatever journey it is, just think about that person out there that's just waiting and hoping for somebody like you with what you have to provide to come along, because they're out there and they're waiting. And we have that obligation to them and the rest of the world to really make a difference for it.
How can people reach you if they want leadership advice or anything of that kind?
Yeah, for sure. You can always reach out to me on social media. Instagram is my big one, chris.t.anderson. Or you can check out my website, pencilleadership.com, that has links to everywhere. And then, yeah, you can tune into the podcast, see if it has any value for you. Again, that's Pencil Leadership with Chris Anderson. So
awesome. Yeah, I'll have all that stuff in the description below, guys, so you guys can check that out. But thank you so much for taking the time to just talk about your story and everything you're doing today. It sounds amazing, and I'm glad to share this with everyone who listens to it. So thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you, Alex.